welcome back to the 12 months of Christmas. We are now on Christmas in March. So if you're new and haven't heard of this, you can go back. I will leave links in the description of this video. You can go back and check out Christmas in January and Christmas in February, and there's still time to catch up. So no worries. So for Christmas in March, I'm going to share the supplies with you first and show you what we're making. These are what we're making this month. Actually, the one that we're doing in the tutorial is this one, and I'm using this one just because it's the easiest of all of them. So it's a great one for the video because it won't take me as long to demonstrate. And it's also a great one to start with, and then you get the feel for how these work, which they're very simple. So they're made of felt and sequins, and so we're going to make the snowman, and then here's the Santa that I designed. These two are designed from some vintage Christmas cards that I have, and then this one I saw a vintage ornament online, and so I recreated her. The instructions are all the same, but I have the patterns for all three shared at the link where you can go print them out. But like I said, we're starting with the snowman. So the supplies that you're going to need are felt, just the inexpensive squares of felt like these that you would get at almost any craft store. I got these at Joann's and Hobby Lobby. So we have red, and that is for his hat and his hands. So if you wanted to use a different color, you could, or you can switch up the green, make him have a green hat and a red scarf. But so you'll need the red and white for the snowman for his body and his arms. Orange is for his nose. Pink for his cheeks. And then the green for either his hat or his scarf, whichever direction you decide to go. So you need those colors of felt. You'll need sequins. I know that you can find them on Amazon. I got these at Craft Warehouse in the scrapbooking section of all places. So there's white sequins, and you can see in the picture probably there's snowflakes in there along with your regular sequins like you're used to seeing. And here's red, which again, there's normal sequins, and then there's little heart-shaped sequins in there. The green ones are just small circles and large circles. So you'll need those colors of sequins. You'll need embroidery floss in red and black. If you don't have any red, you could use just black, but you definitely need the black. You'll need Aleene's tacky glue. And this is a new kind of glue. It's new to me anyway, and I tried it. It works great. You don't have to have it for this project, but this is also by Aleene's, and it's felt and foam tacky glue. And like I said, this is my first time trying it. I really like it. But you can, if you don't have this or don't want to buy this kind, you can do the entire project with just the regular tacky glue. You will need scissors suitable for cutting paper and scissors suitable for cutting the felt. And optional supplies, a scrap of black cardstock, hole punch, tweezers. The tweezers are just really nice for picking up the sequins when you're gluing them to your project, but you don't have to have them. And a little Christmas item of some sort for the snowman to hold. So let's get started. All right, you're going to need to print out the pattern that I provided the link for. You want to, when you print these, you want to make sure that your printer is printing full size. So my printer was automatically set to shrink to fit the paper, and you don't want that. So you want to, I'll put it in the description below how to do it on my printer. I don't know if yours will be the same, but mine was in more settings, I think, and you go in and you choose print at 100%, and then I also chose black and white, because otherwise for some reason it thinks that this is a color, the paper, so it tries to color the background, which isn't a deal breaker. You can still see all the pattern pieces, but I'm just trying to save you some of your color ink. If you don't have a printer, you could go print these maybe at a friend's house, or somewhere like Staples, an office supply store. Will have printers that you can print these on. So this one has the pattern pieces for the angel and the snowman, and then I also uploaded the pattern pieces for Santa. We're going to start with the snowman. So you want to cut out all of your pieces with your paper scissors for the snowman, all his little parts and pieces. Okay, so you're going to pin your snowman onto the felt, and on the pattern it will tell you how many of each thing you need to cut. So the snowman is cut 2, so you're going to pin your parts on and cut them out. So on the white you'll need the snowman and his little arms. And then you'll use your fabric scissors to cut this out. It's easier when you're cutting felt if you can just kind of cut off the section that you need, so that you're not messing with all of this that's hanging and dragging you down. So I like to go around like one side of him and just kind of cut it off like that. And then you can continue cutting him out. And felt has a tendency to be a little difficult to cut, only in that the edges are a little jagged sometimes. So I find it's easier to just cut it a little bit at a time, you know, make little short snips. Alright, so there's one of the snowman bodies. So pin all of your pieces onto the colors that you want. Like I said, it will be the arms and the snowman body, 2 of these, and then just 1 set of the little arms on the white, 2 of the hats. 1 will go on the front and 1 will go on the back in whatever color you want. I'm using red, but you could use green also. Then you need your scarf on whatever color. You only need 1 of those. The mittens, whatever color you want. Mine are green, under the green sequins. The little mitten cuffs in a contrasting color. So you just need 1 each of those. And an orange nose and 2 little pink cheeks. And if you have a hole punch that is sharp enough, it will punch through the felt. It does take a little bit of effort. If you're having troubles cutting circles small enough, you could try that. So cut out all of your little pieces. Feel free to pause the video and come back when you have all of your pieces cut out. So I have turned the video around, so hopefully it's a little easier for you to see. And we're going to start gluing the pieces onto the snowman body with the felt and foam glue if you have it, or just the regular tacky glue if that's your preference. Now the snowman is cut with the little indents on the sides of his head, and those line up with where the hat brim meets the top part of the hat, so that his hat is down over his head quite a bit. You can do any trimming that you need to as you go, like the little corner of my hat was not quite right, so just trim those parts up as you go. Next, we're going to glue on the scarf, and make sure you look at the pattern for reference so that you get the scarf on the right way. It's also cut to match the side of the snowman. Now you can glue on his arms, and we're going to position them so that they're not exactly even. So overlap where the fingers would be a little bit, and place one up a little higher than the other. And just put the glue on the back part of the arm and leave the end where the fingers are with no glue. That way you'll be able to get your little ornament that you're going to have him hold down in there. If you're not having him hold an ornament, then just go ahead and put glue all the way on the arm and the hand. Now we can glue the little ornament in. I have this little candy cane, and it was a miniature ornament, so I just cut the little loop off the top, and then I can just slide it down. I gotta figure out where it goes first before I put glue on it. Kind of like measure twice, cut once. And then just put a little bit of glue along the back of the ornament and place it down into his hands. And now we can add his mittens. And then we'll add the mitten cuffs. the hat band. And finally his little face. So start with the nose and just put it right in the center, kind of just, I guess, in between the hat and the scarf evenly. And then his cheeks, and when you're placing the cheeks, just put them right next to the nose and make sure that you'll have room for the eyes. And those are the only felt pieces that we're gluing right now. We'll come back and do the rest later. We're going to move on to sequins now. So I am using white sequins on his body. You could use silver if you wanted to, that would be cute also. But these sequins that I bought have little snowflakes in them also, and then large round sequins and some small ones. So I'm just going to put a line of glue around the outside of his body, and then I will use the tweezers and stick down the sequins into the glue. I think that on these traditional old school ornaments that they used to make, they actually sewed the sequins on, and they would have like a little bead where the hole of the sequin is. That just seemed like a lot to me. If you really want to do 100% old school, you could certainly do that if you know how. I'm just gluing mine, and this glue really holds them well. I noticed after mine are dry that they're not delicate at all. Like, it doesn't feel like the sequins are gonna pop off or anything. And I don't feel like I'm missing anything with not having the bead in there, you know, and the threads. So that is totally up to you. This tutorial, we're just gluing them. So I also put some on the sides of his face, and then we'll move on to some of the colored sequins. After I had them placed with the tweezers, I just kind of went back with my finger and just patted them in to make sure they were in the glue nice and secure. So now I'm moving on to some green sequins. I'm going to use those on his scarf and on his mitten cuffs. You can place the sequins really wherever you want to. You can see I'm doing the mitten cuffs. If you wanted to do the mittens and leave the cuffs just felt, you could do that. You could sequin his entire scarf if you wanted, the whole hat, whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to use some of the red sequins also on his scarf and his hat band. Also, don't be afraid to put a nice line of glue down. Like, don't be too skimpy with the glue. It's a little scary since it's white and you know it'll show through when you're placing your sequins, but it dries clear and you won't even see it. And you want to have enough glue that your sequins really are attached good so that they don't fall off over time. Since the white sequins that I bought have the snowflake shapes in them, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of snowflakes to the top of his hat so that it looks like the snow has fallen on him. Obviously, if you don't have snowflakes in your sequins, just skip this step. Now I'm going to show you how to make little paper eyes, which a lot of the old school ornaments had paper eyes. So snip off a little piece of black cardstock and then take your hole punch and punch a half of a circle on the edge of the cardstock like this. So you'll end up with a little half circle. Do that twice. And then move your hole punch up just a little bit, and you're going to cut what now looks like a crescent moon, and those are going to be the eyes. And so I call these little smiling eyes because if you place them in this direction, like I have them in my hand, they look like he's smiling. And then you'll see on the angel, I placed them the other direction, and it gives a more peaceful, a more peaceful look like you'd expect on an angel. So there's different ways that you can place these eyes. You can also embroider the eyes if you're good with embroidery. You're going to place your eyes kind of in between where the nose and the cheeks meet, so that they're kind of close together. You don't want them too far apart and they'll look funny. And there we go. He's looking pretty cute so far. I could leave him like that. He even looks cute without a mouth. But I'm going to show you how to give him a mouth. You can see here that what I was talking about with the angel eyes. Here's the snowman that I made earlier, and his eyes, he looks like he's got smiling eyes, I call them, and the angel has the peaceful eyes. So to make your mouth, we are going to embroider it. I used the black embroidery floss and just did a real simple stitch to give him a little half smile. One thing I would not recommend on these ornaments is to try using a felt tip marker or pen to draw any features on, because this is felt and it's very absorbent. So the minute you put like a Sharpie against it, it's going to bleed out. So I would, if you're not comfortable with your embroidery, just leave the mouth off, or maybe punch another one of the little eyes and make that into your mouth. Do it with red and make that into the mouth. So now we're going to make the little hanger on the top, and I'm using red embroidery floss. If you don't have red, you can use the black again. And I'm just making a small little loop so that a traditional ornament, one of the little wire ornament hangers, will go into this loop. I think this looks better. It's also less apt to get tangled up when you store them. But if you want to have the longer floss hanger, you can do that too. So now we're going to finish the snowman by gluing on the back, which covers up your embroidery stitches and the knot where your little hanger was added and things like that. So just put some glue onto the back piece, and then you can also puff him up a little by adding some stuffing, which I'll show here in a minute. My tube of glue, the end was a little jagged, so it kept snagging on the felt. That's why I was doing little dots of glue instead of a straight line. So here you can add just a little bit of felt, and it won't take much at all. You don't want very much, or you won't be able to get the back to stay on. So just a tiny bit of stuffing, and just lay it down onto the back of the snowman. Make sure you have plenty of the edge showing so that your glue will catch. And then just flip the back over and put it down. One thing I noticed about this felt and foam glue is that it catches really quickly. Like, it doesn't take long at all for it to be secure. So I just held this for a few minutes, and then the stubborn areas that didn't want to stay closed because of the stuffing that was in there, I just used some little clamps that I have. I'm just going to kind of check and make sure I got all the edges secured where they need to be. And now we can glue on his hat, which will cover up the back of his weirdly shaped little head. And this is going to cover up this knot and then the top of his head here. So he looks more finished in the end. So I'm just going to move that clamp for a minute because it's kind of in the way. And just glue the back of his hat on. And make sure that the little loop that you made at the top is not stuck in the glue. You can also trim some more if you need to, where the edges might not match up exactly, just so that he looks nice and professional looking when you're done. And he's all done. And here's the other one I made. I made his hat red instead. And the little angel is made the same way, as well as Santa. The angel has more layers on her, and so her neck was a little floppy, so I used a little piece of pipe cleaner and sandwiched that in between the layers to stabilize her neck. And then don't forget to sign and date your ornaments for future reminiscing. I'm going to do that now on the little snowman that I just made. So I'm just using some scraps. I used this white paper doily to make Santa's beard, And so I have some scraps of that, and I'm just going to cut off a little piece of that for signing the back of my snowman. Like I said, a pen is not going to work on this. And even if you did get it to work without bleeding too much, it's just not going to be a nice sharp signature. It's going to look amateur. So go ahead, and you could embroider your name on there if you're, like I said, good at embroidery, or just a little scrap of paper and sign and date it and glue it to the back.